So guys, within the past Renegades reveal stream, there was a whole load of information that you guys probably have forgotten about in terms of other updates that's going to be coming to Destiny within the Renegades expansion. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over all the stuff in terms of general updates and new features added to the game that you've most likely forgotten about. First of which is just going to be some smaller updates here. First of all, being that all of your exotics, be it weapons or armor, are now going to be featured gear. That means that if you go into activities that have like the Vanguard modifier where you can only use featured stuff, that means that you can bring in all of your exotics, all of your build crafting ideas into those styles of content, which is going to be really, really good. Now, that said, I personally do fully believe that Bungie is going to be sunsetting the idea of featured gear due to how many people just hate the idea of this system generally. So I do think that they're probably going to be completely removing this system, probably by the time we get to the major update within Renegades, but I have no idea there on the timeline for that. I just know deep down that they're probably going to be sunsetting this featured gear idea sometime soon. But having the change there to exotics being all featured does at least mean that build crafting will no longer be limited within those activities that require it. Now, moving along, let's talk about the first biggest feature coming with Renegades, that being a brand new feature called Vanguard Orders. Now, this is a mock-up screen of what this Vanguard Orders feature is going to look like, but they described it basically as like an updated version of bounties that come with weekly rewards and also kind of work similarly to how Destiny 1 bounties worked, where by completing these different bounties, you have a chance of getting higher tier bounties that reward you with more stuff. I'm guessing that this will be probably just higher tier loot, be it tier 5 drops maybe if you get like a super high rarity bounty, maybe even an exotic reward, be it maybe a brand new exotic armor piece, or maybe just a random exotic engram that you can then focus into a specific piece of armor or weapon. That being said, we don't know all too much about the system. Once again, we should be learning more in the upcoming weeks before Renegades goes live, but this system also seems to be a great way to be able to like farm out some free bright dust, as well as just get a whole load of different currencies as well. Now, I would really love to see this be like fully fledged out into a similar style that the Destiny 1 bounties were. If you didn't play Destiny 1, you would basically go to a bounty vendor and they would have like 3 or 4 bounties basically. And by completing these repeatable bounties, you would have a very small chance of being able to get an exotic bounty, which then required you to go through a pretty lengthy quest line, which then would reward you with a exclusive exotic weapon. This would be the only way that you would be able to get weapons like the Fawn or Super Good Advice, I believe, and even Invective back in Destiny 1. So if they could go back to that idea of like keeping some exotic weapons tied behind a rare bounty drop, I thought like that would be a really, really cool system to add in. Now, do I think that's actually going to happen here in this Vanguard Orders? No, I do not. There's no way that Bungie is going to do that due to how many people would complain about it. So that's just a pipe dream of mine, but it's probably not going to be like that. It's probably going to be like, hey, you've earned an exotic tier bounty. You'll now get an exotic engram, which then you can take to Rahul and decrypt into any exotic or whatever. Or it might be a way for them to add maybe past exotics, or maybe a way for people to be able to focus farm exotic weapons potentially, because you can't actually focus exotic weapons from Rahul. So maybe that'll be a way of being able to like catch up on different exotic weapons. Maybe, I have no idea, just me speculating. But either way, the system does sound very, very cool, and it's going to be throwing you into a whole lot of different activities as well. As you can see on the left hand side there, you have like PvP focused stuff, PvE focused stuff, different like weapon types as well. All seems really, really good, and if it rewards a whole load of XP and bright dust as well, it's probably going to be a system that a lot of people are going to be interacting with. Next, let's go and talk Legacy, Raid, and Dungeon content. Now, obviously, in the most recent update, I believe we did get some Dungeon Lairs thrown our way, which I already made in another video going over my thoughts on the portal, just how I generally do not like the Dungeon Lairs system, as it kind of rips out the best parts of the dungeon and then adds it in to the portal without its reprised loot. Now, they have mentioned that reprised loot should be coming with these dungeon and raid updates, but they are going to be coming later down the line, as it takes a much longer time period for them to update all the weapons and armor to the tiered system. That said, they did mention that we should be able to at least get powerful rewards from going and playing these older pieces of content. Now, with Dungeon Lairs, that's a current way of doing it, but I really hope that they do just add in the full-on versions of the dungeons for people to go in and play and get rewards from. Same thing goes for the raids more specifically. If I can go into a Vault of Glass, do a complete run, and get a whole load of powerful drops from that, maybe like multiple drops per like completion of the activity for that week, that would be amazing. So I'm really, really hoping that that is in fact the case. Now, I do not know if these pieces of content will just be dropping their older pieces of gear that now just have powerful drops. So you might just get a Fatebringer that's now at least light level relevant, although it won't be like featured or tiered or whatnot. Or if they're going to be going down the road of just adding it to the Pinnacle loot source. So like in the Pinnacle Ops playlist, you have like your Mint Retrograde and all that stuff. They might just throw in all of those loot drops to these raids and dungeon content. That might be a way that they do it. I really do hope though that they stick to like keeping the rewards the same. So even if the Fatebringer that you get from Vaulted Glass once again isn't tiered, at least it's a powerful drop, so then you can bring it into more relevant content, because some of the rolls on the raid loot is actually still pretty decent. So I do feel like they could keep the raid loot the same, whilst also just increasing it to the general like power and progression systems within the game currently. Next, let's go in and talk about weapon upgrades. So within the major update coming with Renegades, which is going to be going live a couple months after Renegades drops, they'll actually be adding a system where you'll be able to upgrade your tier 1 weapons through all of the different weapon tiers. So if you get a God Roll tier 2 weapon, you should be able to upgrade it all the way to a tier 5 weapon, which is a very good system, because tiered weapons isn't really all that important really. It just adds like a nice visual effect to your weapon, and you can get a God Roll tier 2 weapon, but you're not going to get just the visual effects of a tier 5. So if you're able to keep that God Roll but then upgrade it to the point where you can give it some nice visual effects, that's overall going to be a great system. Now, they didn't go into too much detail on how this is going to work, but they did say that they're going to be working on making a new currency and new features for it. So it seems like we're going to be getting another new currency, sadly, that we're going to need to stock up on to then be able to upgrade our different tiered weapons to that tier 5. But to be honest, if you're able to just level to tier 5 loot anyway with the updates to the leveling system before Renegades comes out, most of us are going to be running into tier 5 loot very easily anyway. So you should just be able to refarm all of those different weapons and get the God rolls that way. So if you don't want to go through this new system of upgrading weapons through the different tiers with a different currency, just going through and leveling is honestly probably the best way of solving that issue for you if you want some easy tier 5 loot. Next, they're going to talk about vault space improvements and also just sorting and filtering options. Now, from the way they explain this in the live stream, it does seem like we're going to be getting some more vault space, which is great, but it seems like the systems in place to help with people's vault problems seems to be mainly in just helping them delete their stuff rather than helping to keep their stuff. So with improvements to filtering and sorting, they might add features that help you filter out between if you have duplicate items or if you have items that are just way worse than some of your other stuff, just so that it's more visually easier to like see what's good and what's bad within your vault, which will generally help out people, because if you look at your vault now, it's just a maze of different items that are either good or bad or duplicates or whatnot. So if Bungie's able to add a system that like pings you when you have duplicate items, or if you have like lower tiered or better versions of a certain item, that would be honestly amazing. I don't know if that is a system that they are planning on implementing, just going over what they said in the live stream here, that's what I'm thinking of, but once again, we'll need to wait for confirmation on that. All that we do know is that we're supposed to be getting vault improvements and potentially just more space in our vaults, which is going to be great for those who are running out of room. And then finally, I believe the last thing is going to be updates and buffs to our supers and subclasses. Now, once again, I did already make a video going over what I feel like are going to be the most important buffs and updates to our certain subclasses, mainly adding in more abilities to our strand and stasis abilities, adding some more aspects to maybe prismatic to spice that up a bit, but then also adding in the last couple of aspects to the other light-based subclasses that don't already have 4. I believe that would be Void Warlock and then Solar Hunter and Solar Titan. So if we could see those be added, that would honestly be incredible, alongside just buffing some other abilities, maybe adding in some new exotics that help out these different subclasses in some way. Either way, I'm very excited to learn more about these different subclass buffs, because with the updates that they made to Warlocks and the buddy system, it's completely opened up just new pathways for build crafting, which has just invigorated myself to be playing more and just coming up with these different builds. So if these ideas can be thrown to different subclasses and different classes generally, overall it's looking very good for Renegades. And that is everything that I have for you guys today on updates that we currently know is coming with Renegades that you probably forgot about. Obviously, with the Renegades expansion launching in the next couple of weeks, we should definitely be getting some much larger articles going over news and updates about the expansion, maybe even a last minute live stream where the devs show off some new gameplay or something, probably the day of the expansion, maybe. Not really sure on that, but either way, if any news does come out, I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. With that said though, that is it from me here today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I would very much appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one.